So the thing this week is, well, let's just say that if you ever need to hit the ground running with a new course, you might want to pay attention to the structures component that Blackboard has available in it. Let me hop into a course here and show you that under customization, you can get to course structures. Now these are, well, as it says on the screen, predefined course materials and menu links and so forth. And they're all documented for when and how you might want to use them. There's a fairly extensive menu of different organizational structures, but in this case I'd like to focus just on probably one of the simpler mental constructs, organizing material by chapter. Okay, so I'll say I want to use this material, and let's get the content examples as well. If I left that off, it would just give me some empty folders and stuff, but now it's actually going to put content in my course. It wants to make sure that I don't do something accidentally. Okay, and it even tells me that it's put it there and that I can get back to that teaching style thing anytime I need to make changes. Okay, so let's take a look at the structure it's put in place. The default home location is something it calls the organizer, which is really a module page, just like the home page was that we put in your courses by default, but it has modules that are intended for student use. And honestly, this is a good way to have a module page organized in your course, because the students are going to be using these modules and they don't need to see other modules that are on by default, such as alerts and the needs attention. Those don't really matter for students. So this default organizer is pretty good. There's other menu items on the course menu, links to discussion boards, and it puts a couple of default like placeholder things in there to give you an idea. So if you're not sure if or how you might want to use discussion boards, taking a look at these might trick into your imagination. Similarly with blogs, they even have little information about blogs in the blog so that you can look at it while you're in the tool. And these are all off by default, so students won't see this material until and unless you make it available to them, even if you were doing this in your production course. Although if you're designing your entire course site from scratch, I really hope you're doing it on the sandbox system first. There you have a resources section with some examples of different types of resource, readings, and so forth. And the nice thing here is that they give specific samples. Now, it's vanishingly unlikely that the material in the samples is what you'll want to use, but the idea is it's going to give you a prompt of what you might want to build, because I know that's very difficult. You can flounder a little bit trying to figure out how to set things up in the first place. Well, this is a nice launching point for that. Okay. Similarly, and I actually quite like this, they have an area called syllabus, and in here, of course, it's giving you some general information and telling you what you might want to do with this material and some samples. I like two things about this in particular. First of all, that it's broken up into more than just, here's one syllabus document. It's broken out into multiple pieces, little introductory material and descriptive material separate from something like a calendar. And in fact, you could even go in and turn on like review status on these components so that you could know that students have said they've read them. It's pretty good. There's even a survey at the end of it, and I've heard from several faculty here at Palomar that surveying the students on what's in the syllabus has sometimes been useful, or even testing them on it and giving them a point for reading it, that sort of a thing. But the other thing that I like about this area is that it is not the first thing on the menu. I've seen that in an awful lot of courses where the syllabus area or the course definition documents ends up at the top of the list, even though frankly students aren't going to be going here all that often. They're probably going to be starting in this organizer because that's the default point in this course, and then since this organization was by chapter, that's where the meat of it is that chapters area, which is why it's up at the top of the screen. Okay, you should probably try to avoid having too long a course menu. If students have to scroll down to find the menu item, they're probably going to get lost a lot more easily. Anyway, onto this chapters area. Again, they have some sample material and some suggestions about how to do things, and little examples. This in particular is just a folder per chapter is kind of the idea here, and then in this sample chapter 1 folder they have more sample material with examples of using videos and linking to the blogs and different other components in Blackboard. Now, I don't know if you can see it too clearly on your screen, but there's kind of a little scribble mark on the background of all of these items. Now, each of these things is unavailable at this time, so students wouldn't see it anyway, but the samples won't show up for students until you've edited them, okay? So that's what that scribble kind of is to indicate, is that this is just sample material and it's not going to make a big difference to your students. Okay? There's also some other material in here, like in the surveys, obviously, since they gave you a sample survey, that sort of thing, that you might want to use as a launching off point for designing your own course. So that was course structures, found in the teaching style area. And the specific one that we looked at here was focus on content by chapter. Okay?